Hey, hey. So today I read on the Reddit forums about some issues with the 8-inch guns, specifically the secondary weapons. Not if you have it as a primary on a light cruiser or a heavy cruiser, and it seems like they are extremely accurate. So shout out to you, Dropolo, and I'm going to test just how bonkers these guns are. So the idea here is to make a 1940 battlecruiser with very anemic main guns and let the secondaries do the bulk of the work. And you'll see it when I get to it, but the point is that when you put the secondaries, the 8-inch secondaries to 8.9, so you upscale the caliber, and you put their barrels to 20%, the accuracy becomes just ridiculously stupidly high. And now the design is mostly down to optimizing as much as possible and figure out where and how I can fit the maximum amount of 8 inches on this design. This is the part where I really feel like I'm suffering from some sort of OCD or something. I think I spent way too much time making this just right. I don't know about you guys, but I really struggle with this. This part is a bit annoying. Even the smallest guns doesn't fit, side by side here on in this tower. Honestly, I'm a bit unsure what I dislike the most. The fact that it's very hard to move all of these items together in a group, so you have to nudge each individual part back and forth. But the fact that sometimes it does group them together automatically, and it does it even when you don't want to do that. Now, I did try to experiment with putting, some torpedoes on there, but honestly, it's not worth the hassle. There's no deck space because every single possible square inch is due to be used on 8 inches. Finally, it's just about tweaking the armor values to get the weight under control. This is a battlecruiser, so it's okay to sacrifice some armor. Okay, so let's get this test on our way. One thing you might realize is that I'm recording all this audio commentary post-edit, and it's because I made some changes in my OBS setup. Specifically, I allowed for 1440p recording, and I didn't really check my options, and it seems like I dropped my microphone setup. So it's not, real-time reactions to anything happening, and I apologize for that. It's our first look at the enemy battleship, and he has 17 inches. He quite easily outguns us in terms of caliber. Now, this is the first time I've seen this in this patch, that you have these red angle indicators on our guns whenever the turrets are turning, which is kind of nice. The outgoing fire of the 8 inches is pretty impressive at this range. This is like 12 clicks against destroyers, and having a 20 to 30% chance to hit, it's going to melt those destroyers pretty quickly. This is working great so far, I think. Yeah, this is going great. Look at this. This is about 10 clicks out, and even in the smoke, I'm getting about 50% chance to hit. These destroyers have no chance at all. It's time to look at the enemy heavy cruiser, and if it weren't for the fact that I know that these are Americans, I could have been fooled into thinking this was a German heavy cruiser. Really reminds me of a Panzerschliff or something like that, aka a pocket battleship, if I'm not mistaken. I have to say, it's not, sinking the heavy cruiser downright with a single hit, but it certainly is, just whittling down its HP pretty consistently. It's really something awesome looking at these guns firing at this rate. You would think that an 8-incher is kind of small for a battleship, but honestly, that's pretty big if you compare it to something like land artillery. This is a lot of firepower going over the horizon here. We've ID'd the enemy battleship as the Mississippi, and she has 6 barrels of 17-inch guns. Honestly, it's pretty good for a AI designed ship, although I am questioning the elevated X turret on a barbette there. Once the enemy ships get to around 10 clicks away from it, it feels like they're really melting from the weight of fire of these 8-inchers. It's definitely way overtuned. And like that, I feel like I've cleared up all the light ships on this side of the battlefield, and it lets me be in a position where I can start focusing on the enemy battleship. So about now I start focusing on the enemy battleship, and I've heavily sped up this part of the video by like 8 times, because it does take quite a while to burn down an enemy ship with this firepower. If my main guns with a 9-incher can't pen his armor, then surely my 8-inchers is not able to. So fire it is, and I mean, the Mississippi is burning good and bright right now, so it is working. At this point, it's about time to take out South Dakota. These heavy cruisers, they are the ones who have done the most damage to me. I'm down to like 80% HP. and I definitely should have just let my secondaries finish them off before working over the battleship. Now, in the interest of saving time in this video, I'll just end the battle in a moment. And it's because I still have another scenario I want to test out, and that's using the 8 inches at a lower age. I think something like 1895 is the earliest you can get them, and I think they're going to be a lot more OP in that era. So I'm not going to drag out the footage anymore because it's still another like 10 minutes to finish off this due to my severely reduced secondary skill from my crews. So I'll cut it here. Now, to abuse this in the early ages, we're probably going to need to find some ships that have some sort of casemate mounts on the sides for the secondaries. I really despise this for primary weapons, you know, the side-mounted main guns. But for secondaries, it can work. And I think the French ones is probably the best example. You can see here we have 3 of these casemate mounts on the sides, even if they're open. But they're doubled so that you can fit 2 turrets per these casemates, which is really nice. When the turrets are laid out on the sides like this, it actually looks pretty good. I think it's going to turn out well. Now, as normal with my designs, I realized that I'll probably get more bang for the buck if I just reduce the size of this ship. It's going to reduce the cost of the ship by something like a third, I think, in the end. And I'm losing, you know, a third of the side guns, but I'm still keeping the main guns and everything else about the ship. So it's probably going to be better for campaign play like this. I realized that the match settings was set to 30 clicks opening, and with the minimal speed my ship has, it's probably a lot faster to just restart the engagement, I think. Since I'm already back to the design screen, I decided to add 2 inches to the design, and it's mostly just to make sure that the enemy torpedo ships get something to think about if they get too close. It's not going to affect the weight too much, and it's just, I think it's safe to have, basically. Looking at the enemy battleship here, it looks fine. I like the side turrets on this, but man, oh man, those stubby 10 inches. Those are going to have problems penetrating anything. I think I lucked out on meeting that kind of ship, but there's really not much the enemy can do. Or at least the AI, they're really terrible in the early ages because they don't, you know, they don't get a free lunch from just having more powerful equipment. You have to be really smart about it in the earlier stages of the game, and the AI is anything but smart. The 8-inchers will do short work of the smaller ships in this era, that's for sure. It's already starting to look like a massacre of these screens. Whew. Yeah, they're really blowing up. Now, you may be wondering in this little time lapse here why I suddenly stopped blowing up ships. And if you pay attention to the 8-inchers, you'll be able to see that they're not really firing as much as they could. And it's due to the angles. And it's kind of unfortunate because they added this red little text that it says angle whenever the turrets are moving, but it doesn't tell you when the turrets aren't moving and they can't shoot due to the angle. So that's a bit unfortunate. Now, unfortunately, I had my primary weapons aimed at the enemy battleship most of this engagement, and they already crippled the enemy BB pretty badly, so we can't really see how well the secondaries would do against it. But it doesn't really matter if the secondaries can melt everything else in this engagement already, and my primary weapons, even if they're just 11 inches, which is smaller than the biggest you can have, 13 I think for this age, and they already have pretty much killed the enemy battleship at that point. I think that makes the case that the 8-inchers, they really are superior to any other option at this age when you upgun their caliber and upgun their barrel length. It's really wild, especially since we're fighting at such short ranges in this area where the effect is really, really pronounced. Just like with the previous battle, you can see that the damage I've taken so far has whittled down my cruise bonuses to secondary guns to half its value, and it's really starting to have an effect on the engagement here. And this is also why at some point, in the future when I'm done editing this, I'll just cut this battle as well, because it's just going to add another 10 minutes to finish off the battle. But I still think that this is a pretty good example of just how OP this is in this era, because if I play this in a campaign, I would never operate these ships one at a time. They would probably go in, operate in a squadron of 3 ships together, and I don't see the AI dealing with this at all. This is pretty much cheat mode at this point. And it's with these final cruisers that I realize it's just going to take too long to finish this off. So I'll be ending it here. And there you go. The 8.9 inches plus 20% barrel guns are pretty OP. Just, you know, abuse it while you can, because I'm fairly certain that the devs will nerf this at one point. On another note, my bronchitis has finally or nearly been healed, so I'll be able to get back to producing more videos regularly. And I also finally put in the order for new audio gear, so hopefully it's going to make it a lot faster to edit these videos. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.